Hi everyone, I'm Andy and this is the AI Breakdown. Welcome to your weekly news edition where I'll cover what happened in AI last week, why it matters, all in about 10 minutes. Alright, let's start with the most delightfully chaotic thing I've seen in a while, OpenClaw. It's an open source personal AI agent, formerly known as Claudebot and Moltbook, that's gone properly viral. It's had over 2 million visitors in a single week, and the GitHub repo has racked up more than 100,000 stars in just weeks. Think of these stars like massive likes or stamps of approval from the tech community, so 100,000 this quickly is faster than industry titans like Docker, and it represents a major shift in how we use AI. What makes it different from other AI assistants is that it actually does things on your device. It can install software, manipulate files, browse the web and run multi-step workflows across your email, calendar, messaging. Basically all the stuff that normally lives in the cracks between apps. You connect it to a model like Claude or GPT to give it a brain, and then you can even chat to it via WhatsApp or Telegram. People are giving it a name and a personality like it's a new colleague, which is slightly odd, but also kind of the point. But this thing has deep system access, and that's the trade. AI agents like this need to read your files, access your credentials, execute commands on your computer, totally unhinged. It demands tearing down barriers and security walls that have taken years to establish. So while the AI agent offers powerful automation, researchers and early adopters have reported significant security and financial risks. Cybersecurity researchers discovered over 1,000 unprotected OpenClaw gateways exposed on the open internet, allowing unauthorized access to personal files and connected accounts. The project's skill repository has been targeted with poisoned plugins. One researcher successfully uploaded a malicious skill that rose to the top of the rankings, demonstrating how attackers can manufacture popularity to distribute malware. And although the software is free, it relies on commercial AI models that charge per token. Users on Reddit have reported monthly bills between $300 and $750 due to the agent getting stuck in autonomous loops that repeatedly call expensive APIs without oversight. So yes, it's exciting, but left unsupervised and without controls, it can transform a productivity tool into a costly cybersecurity issue, so don't hand it the keys to the kingdom on day one. Next, a big enterprise move that's going to matter if you sell into regulated industries. Snowflake just signed a multi-year, $200 million partnership to embed OpenAI's latest models directly into the Snowflake data cloud. Snowflake says more than 12,600 companies use its platform, and the promise here is pretty simple. You get GPT-level intelligence on top of your company data, but without exporting that data out to some separate AI tool. Snowflake is rolling out things like Snowflake Cortex AI and Snowflake Intelligence, where employees can ask questions in natural language, like what happened to quarterly sales in a region, and the system retrieves and analyzes the relevant data inside Snowflake. Sridhar Ramaswamy, Snowflake's CEO, framed it saying, "Customers can now harness all their enterprise knowledge in Snowflake together with the world-class intelligence of OpenAI models, enabling them to build AI agents that are powerful, responsible, and trustworthy." Amazon has launched an Amazon Ads, Model Context Protocol Server, or MPC server for short, that lets AI agents interact with Amazon's advertising systems through a standardized protocol. In plain English, it turns a whole bunch of fiddly, multi-step ad operations tasks into actions an agent can execute from a single prompt. So instead of building fragile, custom bridges for every new AI tool, brands can now connect their agents to Amazon's data in minutes. This is a big deal for two reasons. One, it's a genuine productivity unlock. If you've ever duplicated campaigns across countries, tweaked bids, pulled reports, and then done it all again next week, you know how much time gets burned. Two, it's a standard story. If MCP, or protocols like it, become the common language for agents across platforms, we avoid a future where every ad network invents its own weird flavor of agent API. And this isn't just a chatbot. It's a type-safe translation layer. It converts natural language into exact structured API calls, significantly reducing the risk of the AI hallucinating a campaign setting. And remember, automation is a force multiplier. It makes good strategy faster, but also a bad strategy more expensive. So while this eliminates the heavy lifting, it doesn't replace the need for guardrails like budget caps and human oversight. Without a pilot, an automated system is just a very efficient way to set your budget on fire. Malwarebytes has released Malwarebytes in ChatGPT, which lets you ask ChatGPT to check a link, message, email, or phone number for scam and malware risk in real time. You literally type something like, "Malwarebytes, is this link a scam?" and it uses its continuously updated threat intelligence to give you an assessment. The context here is grim. Global consumer losses to fraud hit $442 billion last year, which Malwarebytes says is up over 600% in 4 years. So anything that lowers the friction for people to sanity check dodgy messages is a win. Or as their CEO, Marcin Klaczynski, put it, cybersecurity shouldn't be confusing or out of reach. By bringing Malwarebytes' threat expertise directly into ChatGPT, we're meeting people where they already are and giving them instant, reliable guidance to make safer choices online. Moving on to voice AI, 11 Labs has just pushed 11v3 into general availability. 11v3 is their most advanced text-to-speech model, supports 70+ languages, and the big theme is expressiveness. It's built to laugh, cry, whisper, shout, the whole emotional range, rather than sounding like a polite robot reading the news. The standout feature is audio tags, where you can literally drop tags into the script, like whispers or sighs, to direct the performance. And it can do multi-speaker dialogue as well, with more natural pacing and even slight overlaps, so it feels like a real conversation. The upside is obvious if you're in media, training, games, or accessibility. Mass localization gets way easier when a voice actually carries the right tone in another language, not just the right words. But with this new capability, deepfake risk rises as realism goes up. 11 Labs says it's added stricter moderation and verification for certain features, and it has a detection tool for audio made on its platform. Good, because the moment voices become indistinguishable, you need some sort of authenticity assurance. One more detail that's worth mentioning, they're pushing adoption with an 80% promotional discount, which is a very smart way to get this into creators' workflows fast. Moltbook is a fascinating new Reddit-like social network for AI bots, where agents post and chat with each other without humans. It's quite mind-blowing to observe because it offers a rare, real-time window into machine-to-machine social dynamics without direct human interference. However, the experiment quickly collided with a familiar problem: basic cybersecurity. Wiz researchers found it had virtually no access controls, and the breach exposed private direct messages between agents, the email addresses of more than 6,000 human owners, and over 1 million login credentials, including keys for OpenAI and Anthropic. Ami Lutwak, Wiz's CTO, summed it up perfectly, saying, "As we see over and over again with vibe coding, although it runs very fast, many times people forget the basics of security." The creator had even bragged online that he didn't write one line of code. Look, I love fast iteration, but if you're launching anything that handles logins, messages, or, God forbid, agents that might discuss their owner's private thoughts, you don't get to skip authentication and access control just because the app is an experiment. This is the cost of treating AI-generated code as production ready by default. If you're building agent platforms, this is your reminder. Secure by default isn't optional. The bots might be chatting, but the data is still human. Now, on the generative media front, xAI has released Grok Imagine 1.0, a big upgrade to its text-to-video model. It now supports 10-second clips at 720p with dramatically better audio, and xAI says it generated 1.245 billion videos in the last 30 days. For creators and marketers, 10 seconds at decent quality covers a lot of the internet's attention span, and it's plenty for rapid prototyping. Mock ads, storyboards, meme content, quick explainers. But the same warning applies here as with voice: scale plus realism equals misinformation risk. And Grok is landing in a pretty tense regulatory environment, with Europe already scrutinizing xAI over deepfake issues linked to Grok's broader ecosystem. So, if you run a brand, you should be thinking about 2 tracks at once. how you might use this stuff responsibly, and how you'll respond when someone generates a convincing fake involving your product, your execs, or your customers. Finally, a dev story. OpenAI has launched the Codex app for macOS, and it's basically a command center for running multiple coding agents at once. Instead of a single chat window or an IDE plugin, Codex lets you spin up separate agent threads, each working in its own sandboxed worktree with access to the project files. So you can have one agent building a feature, another writing tests, and another doing refactors, all in parallel, with you reviewing diffs and approving changes. This story is part of a much bigger shift, where developers are becoming orchestrators. The bottleneck isn't whether AI can write code, it's whether you can manage a small fleet of AI agents without creating a spaghetti codebase and a security nightmare. It's also going to change expectations. Once teams get used to parallel agent work, one developer might look more like a small team of mainly robots, which is great for output if you keep the quality bar high. That's all for this week's Roundup. If you found value in this breakdown, please leave a rating and hit subscribe. See you next week.